Welcome to the culture class.
What is going on, everybody? It's your host, Jonathan Pryce, coming at you from Loganville, Georgia, with another edition of the Culture Clash on the Pryce Podcast. And tonight, we're confronting one of the most consequential battles for the future of our nation: the infiltration of woke ideology into American education. From K-12 classrooms to universities and other institutions, we will examine the historical foundations of the American education and its transformation, the ideological shifts that reframed schooling from the pursuit of truth, knowledge, and virtue to a vehicle for activism, identity policies, and social engineering, and the profound tensions it creates with academic excellence, critical thinking, parental authority, character formation, social cohesion, and the preservation of America's cultural and intellectual inheritance. Now, you know what we do. We proceed with without ideological slogans, and without allegiance to any faction. Only with history, empirical data, ethical analysis, and a clear-eyed assessment of long-term implications for the United States in 2026 and beyond. But before we do, we got a sponsor for you guys. Go check them out. Take a moment to join the Pryce Media community on Discord. This is your space for deeper biblical discussion, cultural discernment, and authentic faith-filled conversations with like-minded believers. Connect with fellow listeners, engage with the episodes, and grow together in truth. Join now at prycemedia.com/Discord. Let's continue the conversation. So let's begin with the historical trajectory. For much of America's history, education served to transmit knowledge, cultivate moral character, foster literacy, and prepare citizens for self-government. Rooted in a Judeo-Christian worldview and classical liberal traditions, early American schools emphasized reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and civic virtue, which we need to bring back. The founding generation viewed education as essential to preserving liberty and republican institutions. The Common School movement of the 19th century aimed to unify a diverse nation through shared language, values, and Protestant-influenced ethics, while higher education focused on rigorous inquiry, often grounded in Western civilization. The pivotal point arrived with the rise of progressive education in the early 20th century, spearheaded by John Dewey and others. Dewey advocated shifting from traditional content mastery to experimental learning, social reform, and child-centered approaches that prioritize adaptation to a changing society over transmission of enduring truths. This laid the groundwork for further transformation. The 1960s counterculture, civil rights era, and subsequent adoption of critical theories, like the critical race theory, drawn from Marxism, postmodernism, and identity-based frameworks, accelerated the shift. Concepts like critical pedagogy reframed education as a tool for dismantling perceived systemic operations by the late 19th or by the late 20th and early 21st century, influences such as critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion, CRT, DEI, mandates, and gender ideology became embedded in teacher training, curricula, and institutional policies. What begins as efforts to address inequalities evolved into a de facto ideology prioritizing group identity, equality of outcomes over equality of opportunity, and activism over neural instruction. The cultural the cultural and institutional capture accelerated. Major teachers unions, schools of education, academia, media, and corporations promoted these frameworks. Oh my gosh. Let me get some water real quick. Ooh. Water is always good for you guys, especially during this summer. You gotta drink your water. A little bit of education for you. Anyway, curricula incorporated lessons on systemic racism, white privilege, fluid gender and identities, and deconstruction of a traditional American history. Terms like anti-racist and expansive interpretations of equality reshaped policies, often sidelining concerns about age appropriateness, parental rights, or declining academic standards. Dissenting educators, parents, or students raising issues about indoctrination, biblical biological reality, or suppressed viewpoints were frequently labeled as intolerant or facing professional repercussions. Now, we turn to the empirical realities that ground this debate. As of 2025 through 2026, sheesh, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, NAEP, results, the nation's report card, reveal persistent and troubling declines. Reading and math scores for many grades remain below pre-pandemic levels, with high school seniors showing some of the lowest performance in decades. For instance, significant portions of students score below basic, and I mean basic, proficiency, and long-term trends show eroded gains, particularly among lower performing students. International comparisons such as PISA highlight U.S. students lagging in math and reading relative to peers in other nations. These outcomes concede with the expansion of ideological content. Reports document widespread use of CRT-inspired materials, gender ideology in elementary settings, and DEI initiatives that emphasize group identity over individual merit and color blind principles. Mental health challenges among the youth have risen alongside these shifts, with questions about whether politicized environments contribute to division, confusion, or disengagement from core academics. Parental pushback has grown, leading to curriculum transparency laws, challenges to explicit materials, and policy reversals, including executive actions in 2025, limiting federal funding for certain ideological programs in K-12 settings. Now, this brings us to the fundamental clash. Education is not merely technical instruction, but the formation of minds, characters, and citizens. Traditional approaches prioritize objective truth, rigorous skills, historical accuracy, and moral development aligned with America's founding principles. Woke frameworks often frame the West, America, and traditional norms as inherently oppressive, centering identity policies, intersectionality, and perpetual grievance. Proponents argue with this fosters empathy, justice, and inclusion. Critics contend it undermines merit, distorts history, confuses biological reality, especially regarding sex and gender, erodes social trust, and diverts time from foundational subjects, contributing to the academic stagnation and cultural fragmentation. Now, the philosophical and ethical dimensions run deep. Parents hold primary responsibility for their children's upbringing, a principle rooted in natural law and American tradition. The state's role is to support, not supplement, this through neutral, excellence driven education, prioritizing evidence based instruction, critical thinking, including exposure to multiple viewpoints, and character virtues like resilience and personal responsibility reflects moral duty to the next generation. When institutions impose contested ideologies, especially on minors, without full, and I mean full, parental consent, it raises profound questions of authority, consent, and child protection. Are your institution, the institutions, the schools, the educational system, the teachers, are they really for your child? Or are they for an ideology? Nuances demand careful consideration. Addressing genuine historical injustices and promoting civil discourse are valuable. We're not discrediting it, it is valuable. But efforts to improve access and opportunity for all students align with American ideals. One thing that's not good is that you want to focus on just the injustices on the discourse alone. They are valuable. Let us know. It's a part of history. But when you focus on that and only on that and forget about everything else, you have kids growing up to hate America. That when foreigners come in for the World Cup, they say America is such a great America is such a great country that they've been lied to. I mean, come on. I mean, look, we're seeing it right now. If it doesn't stop, efforts to improve access and opportunity for all students align with American ideals. Yet, data suggests rapid ideological integration often correlates with lowered standards, viewpoint discrimination, and resilience to empirical realities, especially in sex-based distinctions or statistical group differences. Now, broader patterns reveal fiscal investments in DEI yielding questionable returns amid academic declines. Got a great... Ooh, sorry, something in my eye. Now, the cultural messaging has profoundly shaped the perception. Concerns about ideology in schools are often moralized as book banning or bigotry. While the content itself, sometimes explicit or age inappropriate, is defended as essential. Essential. Look, little kids don't need to see explicit content. Done. Done deal. Now I know, I get it. Once they get into middle school, yeah, just like me, they're gonna find porn, 100%. All right, it's just like me. Okay, I I'm guilty of it. When I found out about it, oh my gosh, I watched it so many times. Anywho, but that was when I found it. The school didn't have nothing to it. School actually veered me away from it, but I still went to it. My bad. But when you're in elementary school, at the very least, you don't need to see any of that. No explicit content and make everything age appropriate. Give them a Dr. Seuss, like the old OG Dr. Seuss books. Very simple. Institutional incentives, including activist influence in education, colleges, and funding systems, frequently overshadow the core educational outcomes by the gap between activism in schools and the actual core educational outcomes is so wide. And it is unfortunate that it is happening. We have a generation that is now grown up to be like, oh yeah, basically retards. Honestly, I'm sorry. Not sorry. Yeah, I'm not sorry. They're basically retards at this point. Because of you guys. But broader implications extend to every domain. Now, I said that. That's how I see it, but it's also a fact. You go outside, you see the kids, the young kids nowadays. What are they mostly focusing on? I know video games is a problem, but that's not the biggest problem. It's schools. We have kids out there where they're actually being incentivized to actually go out and protest whatever it is. They're being incentivized to do that instead of actually staying in school and learning what they need to learn to go on, to advance, to be a better a human being, to make America better, greater. Yeah. Culturally, now the culture, it risks producing generations less unified by shared facts and values, and more divided by identity. And we are seeing that now, 100%. Go on X, go on Instagram, you go on TikTok. You can scroll on through, and you will find the dissent with the recent Carmelo Anthony case. I can tell you that a lot of black people are just focusing on the identity, what he looked like. Just because he's black, they don't think he should go to jail. I had a, I wouldn't say an argument, but I was talking about this with a few coworkers this morning. Hey, that kid brought a knife to a track meet when he should not have brought it in the first place. He should not have had a knife in the first place. And even then, okay, say you bring a knife, you could be like, you left it in your book bag, didn't know it was there. Okay, well, he knew that it was there because he had it ready. He had picked out of his hand or picked out of his bag, had it in his hand, and was ready right then and there to say, "Don't do, try me." Basically, he was basically saying, "Try me." And a kid walked up and he stabbed him in the heart. Yes, he deserved to go to jail, 100%. Other black people will say he doesn't because he's scared. Oh my gosh, what do I have to tell my kids? don't go around with a knife, maybe? I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Put me down in the comments. Put it down in the comments. What do you guys think? Economically and socially, weakened critical thinking and merit undermined innovation and cohesion. Politically, it fuels parental revolts and policy shifts toward restoration. The 2025 actions reasserting limits on federal support for certain ideologies demonstrate that course correction is possible. It is possible, and we need to do it. Plain and simple. Now, looking forward into 2026, well, really the later half of the 2026 at this point, and the upcoming decade, pathways must prioritize national interest and child welfare. Restore focus on core academics, phonics-based reading, rigorous math and science, factual history, and civics grounded in Constitution. Now, here is a quick example. The Artemis 2, the launch that happened, they went past the move and circled back. What do you think that sparked? A, we just proved to you that we can make it to the moon and come back. Now, the little kids that are seeing this are now dreaming to be scientists, dreaming to be astronauts. For me personally, the way how I see it, that sparked so much innovation in the little kids. We will be seeing a new wave of scientists, a new wave of astronauts, a new wave of actually getting to the moon, and then from there, getting to Mars. We're about to see that just from that example. And Artemis 3 launches, I believe it was next year, 2027, or it's in 2028. It's happening soon. I can't remember the exact year, but it's happening soon. And then those little kids see that, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do that." Quick example of an anime: Dr. Stone, the little kid, wanted to be an astronaut. The MC Senku, he wanted to be an astronaut. Guess what? He poured his brain from when he was young to the time of the show. He literally studied everything he could learn about science. He went and learned just because of, guess what? Curiosity. Proved my point right then and there. Now, we must uphold parental rights through transparency, outputs or opt-outs, and curriculum review. Parents should 100% know what their kids are learning. And if they don't want them to learn what they want to learn, or don't want them to learn what you're trying to teach them, then they should have the option to be like, okay, my kid is not going to this school no anymore until you change this policy, and then we'll go to a different school. Or say they want to homeschool their kids. Me personally, I would want I would want my kids homeschooled. So this goes to my future wife, baby. Don't worry, I got you. Provided financially, we'll be all right. I just want you to teach the kids our values. I want you to be there to teach them our principles, how we live, the way we live. I think it's doable, But anyway, and they should be able to look over the curriculum. Like I said, if they don't like what you're doing, what you're teaching them, they should be able to say, hey, this needs to get out. This right here, it needs to go. So yeah. Eliminate ideological mandates in favor of viewpoint neutrality and biological truth. No boy can become a girl, and no girl can become a boy. Cut it out with this trans stuff. Reform teacher training to emphasize subject mastery over activism. Change the way teachers teach. Change what they teach. Change how they teach. It needs to be a complete overhaul. The whole educational system needs to be overhauled 100%. Now, support school choice to empower families. Like I said earlier, opt-outs. Let the parents decide which school they want the kids to go to. If they don't want them to go to this school, then make sure the the taxes that they pay don't go to that school, because the kids are not going to go to that school, and have them go. And if the kids want them to, the parents want them to go to this school, then make sure the taxes that they pay goes directly to this school. Locally, obviously, is what I'm talking about. You can't do that on a federal level. You have to do it through the local, county, and all that stuff, all that good stuff. But invest in character education aligned with timeless values. Cultural renewal requires recommitting to education as a pursuit of truth and excellence over social engineering. The education debate tests a society's commitment to truth, prejudice, and the flourishing of the young. It faces confrontation whether ideological conformity or open inquiry better equips citizens. History and evidence reveal the necessity of preserving institutions dedicated to knowledge transmission and cultural continuity. Not transformation through activism. Ethics and statesmanship require balancing compassion with realism, equipping all children without sacrificing academic integrity or parental sovereignty. This is the culture clash. It concerns not merely curricula or test scores, but the kind of people and the kind of nation we will form. The kind of people, the kind of community, the kind of state, the kind of nation. One guarded in reason, virtue, and heritage. Or one, on the other hand, one fragmented by grievance and relativism. History will judge how we proceed. The path forward demands intellectual honesty, moral clarity, policy courage, and a renewed fidelity to education's highest purposes. Thank you all for engaging with this deep examination. Share this show. Share this with everyone you know. And if this challenged you or clarified your thinking, support by going to prycemedia.com/discord or /donate. Well, go to Discord as well, but go to prycemedia.com/donate. We all have to support independent discourse that refuses to evade difficult realities. Join the Discord server, prycemedia.com/discord. There is a free link, and there is a way for you guys to support as well, if God puts it on your heart. There you go. Until next time, may we pursue truth with both conviction and clarity. And don't forget, the one truth we must all remember: to keep seeking the kingdom first. God bless. This has been the Culture Clash on the Pryce Podcast. I'll see you guys there. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Introducing Pryce Shorts, the sharpest insights and most engaging moments from the Pryce Podcast and Boy Basic, now in the palm of your hand. Thought-provoking commentary. Even in a fatherless era, faithful fatherhood conforms us to Jesus and builds his kingdom across generations. Practical advice for the individual man. Embrace Colossians 3:23 and Ephesians 5 headship. Entertaining highlights. What a HP victory! All in seconds. Pryce Shorts, your daily dose of premium content from Pryce Media Group, LLC. Subscribe now and never miss the best bites. Peace.